David had spent 20 years failing to bake his mother's most treasured memory, and tonight he realized why. He hated the recipe. He stood in his kitchen at 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve, glaring at the index card as if it were an enemy. It was titled Mama's Midnight Gingerbread, sealed in plastic, written in his mother Mary's precise cursive. For 2 decades, David had treated this card like a holy relic, and for 20 years it had mocked him. He was 62 years old, a retired structural engineer. He understood precision and problem-solving, but he could not solve this cake. Since the day Mary died, David had obsessed over resurrecting the flavor of his childhood Christmases. He had sought out vintage molasses jars to match the sugar content of the 1980s. He sourced rare ginger. He followed the instructions with forensic detail, and every single year, the result was the same: perfect, flawless, and completely wrong. His gingerbread was a masterpiece of baking technique. Light, airy, perfectly spiced. But his mother's gingerbread was different. It was dense, dark, and possessed a haunting, heavy richness that sat low in the throat. It had a shadow to it, a strange, profound depth that cut through the sugar. His family loved his version. "It's better than Grandma's," they'd say. That was the insult. It was technically superior, and that's how he knew he had failed. He didn't want better. He wanted hers. Tonight, the frustration had boiled over into anger. He looked at the recipe card. Did you leave something out on purpose, he thought, a flush of resentment rising? Did you want to be the only one who could make magic? It felt like a betrayal, a final, silent power play from the woman who had raised him alone. She had given him the map, but she had erased the destination. He was on his 3rd batch of the night. The kitchen was sweltering, the air thick with spices, but David felt cold. His lower back throbbed, a reminder of his age. His eyes burned from staring at the harsh oven light. He felt a sudden crushing wave of exhaustion. He was depleted. His daughter had left a pot of coffee on the counter. Rocket fuel, she'd called it. It had been sitting on the warmer for hours. David poured the sludge into a mug. It was jet black, oily, and smelled like burnt earth. He took a sip and grimaced. It was bitter enough to wake the dead. And suddenly, the image of her was there. Not the saintly mother, but the real woman. He saw Mary standing in this very spot 40 years ago, her face gaunt, her uniform stained. He saw the dark circles under her eyes, her ankles swollen from 12 hours at the hospital. She wasn't baking for fun. She was forcing Christmas into existence through sheer, stubborn will. David felt a profound kinship with her. 2 tired people, decades apart. He turned back to make the glaze. It was a thick, golden concoction. It looked exactly like the recipe said it should. It was too perfect. He reached for a spoon, his hand trembling with fatigue. His elbow knocked the heavy ceramic coffee mug. It wobbled, tipped, and splash. A dark, ugly stream of strong, black, burnt coffee spilled directly into the pristine golden glaze. "No!" David gasped. He watched in horror as the black liquid swirled. It ruined everything. His heart sank. It was 3 a.m. He grabbed the bowl, ready to dump the mess down the sink. But then he stopped. A strange instinct stayed his hand. He dipped his index finger into the brown mixture. He had to taste his failure. He raised his finger to his lips and tasted it. His eyes went wide. The kitchen went absolutely silent. The sweetness was there, but then, a second later, came the undercurrent. It was a sharp, dark bitterness, a depth, a shadow that cut right through the cloying sweetness. It wasn't just like hers. It was hers. David sank back against the counter, clutching the bowl as the revelation shook him. He closed his eyes, and the taste transported him back 40 years. He remembered the smell now. It was the hospital on her clothes. It was the menthol rub. And it was that cheap, bitter, black coffee she brewed to keep her eyes open. The secret ingredient wasn't a spice. It wasn't a hidden technique. It was a mistake. Mary was a single mother, dead on her feet, sipping that black sludge. In her exhaustion, a splash must have found its way in. The secret ingredient wasn't love. It was exhaustion. It was the taste of a mother who refused to sleep until her child was happy. It was the flavor of sacrifice. Tears, hot and fast, streamed down David's face. The anger was gone, replaced by gratitude and shame. She hadn't lied to him. She just hadn't written down the part that couldn't be measured. He wiped his face and looked at the bowl again. It wasn't ruined. It was finally complete. He finished mixing the dark, coffee-infused glaze and brushed it generously over the hot loaf. The heat released the aroma immediately. Spicy, sweet, and unmistakably, beautifully dark. He tasted a crumb. Perfect. He looked at the clock. It was past 3 a.m. He picked up the pot of coffee. He poured the last of the black liquid into his mug. This time, he didn't wince. He smiled. He finally understood that the most important ingredient in Mama's midnight gingerbread wasn't sugar or spice. It was the bitter, beautiful taste of a mother who gave everything she had down to the very last drop.